Got a bad sore throat. Just came back from school, tutoring some kids, and had to stop by the KFC to grab a quick lunch before we go pick up our grandson. But I wanted to bring something up. Actually, it's an addendum to the last video that I updated about these cleaning cycles on these Canon printers. If you know me, you know I'm an honest guy. I give out the information that I am given. Some of it is proven, some of it is just rumor. But I try to find out, the nitty gritty about everything that I report on to make sure that there's at least some degree of truth to it. Well, excuse me. Back in the day when the Canon Pro 9000 Mark II was very popular, this is many years ago. This is long before the Pro 9500 Mark II. We used to rely on sort of underground type networks to provide us with service manuals and other types of documentation only available to the service people at these service centers. And so somebody leaked out the 9500 Mark II service manual. And there it finally was made sort of clear that there were some timed cleaning cycles basically pre-programmed into these printers. Now, we all knew back then that, these printers make all sorts of noises. We didn't know what was going on back then. We presumed that it was some kind of purge type activity taking place, but we really didn't put two and two together as to what was triggering this type of cleaning. And remember, the 9000 Mark II was a dye ink printer. Canon did not have many desktop type photo printers for us home users that use pigment inks. The 9500, I believe, was one of the first ones, if not the first one. And so when that leaked out, it clearly stated, and this is what the information was passed out as the gospel truth, that you could disable the next cleaning cycle by simply printing something prior to that timed cycle. In other words, if it was 60 hours or 120 hours, if you just printed something, that would start the counter again back to zero, and you would not have to worry about these cleaning cycles as long as you did that just before the 60 hours. Well, that did not turn out to be the truth. That was actually mistranslated probably from the original Japanese text when it was translated over to English. I don't know why, but that was the case, and a lot of people believed what it actually said there on the service manual concerning that. And I even did a video. I showed the actual text exactly saying just that the cleaning cycles coming up after the next 60 hours will be basically stopped. The timer will begin to count from zero again simply by printing something. So we then started preaching about making sure that you have a nozzle check or a purge sheet printed through QImage or whatever other automation type software you can use, and that will solve your problem. Well, no, that turned out to be not true. It was a misinterpretation or a bad translation that we basically read and believed. And remember, this was leaked. We were never supposed to have known this. Okay? So that's the reason. Remember, often, since all of this technology is usually built either in China or Japan, there's always going to be some sort of, translation problem and maybe a misinterpretation. And this is exactly what happened. So I'm just letting you guys know. Don't go back and watch my previous videos and then blame me for confusing you. Yes, I know it's confusing. But that's what we believed was taking place back then. And of course, it was written on paper. It was written black and white for us to read in that service manual that was leaked out. And so then we said, okay, we are experiencing this also on the Pro 100 and every printer thereof after that. So the same thing is happening. Well, then we started to realize, wait a minute, I just went ahead and printed something on the 59th hour. And gosh, after 60 hours passed, I printed something and it did a cleaning cycle. How can that be? That's because it never was that way. Okay? It never was that way. And people just didn't realize. And at that time, we just didn't really care much about the cleaning cycles taking place, the noises, the whirlings, all of the pumping actions that was taking place behind the scenes, because a lot of us were using refillable cartridges and didn't really care. Anyway, just wanted to bring that up to you guys and to kind of clarify that. But right now, as far as we know, and again, we don't have access to this information, but we physically can see this happening. 60 hours, Pro 100, 120 hours, okay? From the first cleaning cycle that takes place, on the Pro 100, you got 129 hours, 59 minutes to print whatever you want. The first job that you did on that 0 hour generated a cleaning cycle. Everyone after that will not generate a cleaning cycle until you pass over that threshold. So it is broken down into blocks of time. With this one is 60 hours, and that is because this is a pigment-based printer, and it needs to just flush away that debris that is generated during the printing process. It uses heat to explode droplets. Remember my analogy about your cooktop frying eggs and bacon? All of that oil splatters. Well, basically you're generating all sorts of residue, if you will. Now, I've been told that maybe that's not true. Well, I think it's a very good theory and kind of sheds a little light as to why they force you to accept these cleaning cycles, okay? Because if I print every day, I shouldn't have to run a cleaning cycle, should I? Right? It makes no sense at all because my print head should not be clogged. So something else is going on. Something else has to be causing something that requires a cleaning cycle to take place after so many hour interval passes. And that's the only theory that we have at this point, okay? And it's not based on literature that's leaked. This is just smart thinking, understanding the process of a thermal print head, what is happening internally. And so a smart printer like the Pro 1000, it's doing all sorts of things in the background that you either agree with or disagree with, but it's necessary. I'm going to do a video where I'm going to cover all of the weird things that the Pro 1000 does. Okay, we're not going to deal with the Pro 100, Pro 10, Pro 1. Those are too simple. This is a smart printer, and I just gave it that title because it deserves it. All right, that's it. We'll stop right here. I hope you guys understand that back in the day, that was kind of a misunderstanding, a misread, if you will, of the information that was leaked out accidentally. It wasn't voluntarily given to us. And then we may have misinterpreted it, or maybe it was translated wrong, but it did indeed say that a cleaning cycle could be prevented by simply printing. Yeah, that's not true. All right, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, share as always, and like. Hit that like button. And we'll see you the next time when we proceed the rest of the week with some new content for you guys. Thank you so much. Happy printing, and bye-bye.